A new feature that we recently added into WARDCAM is the ability to more easily specify cutting on one of the work offset positions on the machine. So with a work offset position, you can specify XYZ coordinate on the table, and regardless of where the cutting head is when you start the program, the part will always be cut in the same XYZ position. This comes in very handy if you're cutting a repetitive part on a fixture. You can finish cutting a part, move the cutting head out of the way, reload the next blank of material, and then just hit continue on the controller, and the cutting head will go back and cut again in the same position again and again. So normally in WARDCAM, you make your CNC file, it's going to put a G92 X0, Y0, Z0 at the beginning of the program, such as we have here, and that basically tells the controller no matter wherever the cutting head is when you start the program, all of these X, Y, Z, if there's any Z's in here, will be taken from wherever you start the program from. However, if you do want to do it on a fixture and use one of the work offset positions, which can be anywhere from G54 through G59, to enable that option in WARDCAM, you'll want to hit your scroll lock key or use your on-screen keyboard and hit the scroll lock key. So turn that on, and then once you got that turned on, if you go into options, edit variables, all the various tabs, all the different options will be shown, and on the default tab, you scroll down to the P area for this new variable here, prompt for work offset. So if something you'll be using a lot, you can click on the eye to make it visible, so if your scroll lock key is not on, you'll still see it. And then if you want to be prompted, you can turn that toggle switch on there, save that, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn my scroll lock key back off. And now when I go to create my CNC file, it'll prompt me for work offset. So if you just want to stick with a normal G92 program, you just leave that there, or you can choose one of your different work offset positions. So we'll call this one fixture 1. I'll put a G54 at the end there just so I know what's what. So now at the beginning of the program, instead of the G92, we have this G54. So when the controller sees that, it'll look for whatever values are stored in the controller for the G54 position, X, Y, and Z, and then all of these numbers are based off of that number. So again, no matter where the cutting head is, the program will be cut relative to that G54 position every time. And we'll go ahead and do another one here with a different work offset position. So we'll do one out of G55. So we'll call this one fixture 3, G55. And so now we have a G55 on that one. We'll do one more here just with the G92. So we'll stick with G92 with that one. And we'll call this one fixture 2, G92. So here we got our G92, X0, Y0, Z0. So now at the controller, we'll be looking at the move controller software here. So over here on the right, we have this position button here where you can save positions on the table as either just an XYZ position that you can move to and run G92 programs from, or you can save it as one of the G54 to G59 positions. So if this position that I'm at right now, if I want to save that as just a position on the table that I'm going to run a G92 program from, I can just click on this blue plus button up here and we'll give it a name. We'll call that one fixture 2, where we'll run our G92 program from. So in this one, we're going to have to move back to this position every time before we start the program. So it shows up here with our name, XYZ coordinates, I can click on this little edit button here. So in here you can do things like you can edit the name that you gave that position. You can type in a little description here so somebody comes in here, they have an idea what that is for. You can also convert this to a work offset position, but we'll leave this one as just a regular save position. So click on save for that one. And then I'll jog up to here and I'll save this as my G54 position. So again, click on the plus button and we'll call this one fixture 1. And we'll edit this one. So I'm just going to put a little description in here, and that's optional. And we'll switch this to G54 position. When you do that, these values over here are then locked out, so you can't edit those. If you do need to later come in here and edit those, you can always just change it back to a non-offset position. Change these, so if you bump the fixture a little bit, you can click on the picture button, get current positions X, Y, and Z. You can also turn off, so if you don't want the Z to move up and down when it goes to that position, you can just click on the eyeball to disable an axis. The other thing to note about the Z position when you're working with work offset positions is it'll only move to that Z height if there's a Z coordinate in your CNC file. So for example, the CNC file that I made earlier that we'll be running here, there's no Z moves in here. So regardless of what position is saved for the Z in that G54 work offset position, it's going to run the program at whatever height the cutting head is at when you start the program. So if you did want it to go down to a particular Z height, you would either start the cutting head at that height, or there's an option in WARDCAM where you can do the Z pop-ups, or you can manually put in a G00Z0, and then the cutting head would move down to that Z height after it rapid to this position here. And then we'll put that as our G54. Let me at least fix my spelling on this. And then we'll jog over and we'll save this one. So now what you'll see, first of all, before I do this, is we've got our positions, which shows us the two positions that we saved, the G54 position, the one that we'll be using for our G92 program, and then if you go onto the offsets area, it shows you only the positions that you've saved as work offset positions. So if I go save this one, and this will be fixture 3 now, and we'll edit that one, change this to G55, save that. So now in our offset tabs, we've got our two work offset positions, and then on our positions tab we have all of them with the indication that these are G54, G55. As you click on these, you want to move to a position. So since we are going to be running our part down here as a G92 program, we do want to make sure that we move back to that position every time before we start the program. And then we'll go ahead and load those programs that I made. So we'll load that, load that, load that. So we've got our G92 program down here, G54 program, G55 program. So at this point we can hit run, and it'll go up and run our G54 program where it is. This other part is floating with our cutting head since that is a G92 program, whereas the other two parts are locked into position being work offset programs. Runs the G55 program. So now we want to run this, but we do want to run it in the G92 saved position, or the position that we'd saved down here. So we can go back to our position menu, and pick that position, which was fixture 2, shows us where we're going to be going to, so we can move to that position and then run that program there. So if you have any questions on that, let me know. Thanks.